Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we have some breaking news that we're going to be covering. This story just came out, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, something like that. And this is a huge one. This is one that I did not expect. I was not planning on making this video. Obviously, I've already made 2 TSM videos today, but we got to make a third. This is a story and a video that I just have to get out of my channel and have to get out into the world. And so yeah, let's just go right into it. Might be a little bit longer video. First, I just want to say, check out the Discord, first link in the description below. This is where we can talk about all the stuff, all the breaking news, scoops, everything in real time. Discord's been doing really, really well recently. I think we have like 85 people or something in there right now. So check that out, first link in the description. But this is what we have today. Competitive ruling, Andy Din. This is TSM Reginald. This is coming out from Riot Games, from the LCS, whatever. TSM did their own investigation into themselves. You know, they found out that Regi did nothing wrong. But now Riot, now the LCS has a chance to give their side of the story, their take on what is going on. And here's what we have. Competitive ruling. Andy Din. Again, TSM Regi. TLDR up at the top. The league believes that there was a pattern and practice of disparaging and bullying behavior exhibited by Andy Din towards TSM players and staff members. So flat out, right at the beginning, first sentence of the whole thing, they go the complete opposite direction that TSM went. Again, TSM's trying to say Regi did nothing wrong, we did nothing illegal, oh, Regi's good to go, hey, that's out of our hands. Let's get back to business. Let's get back to work. Hey, I'll be careful about how I talk to people and stuff in the future, but, you know, I didn't break any rules. I didn't do anything wrong, whatever. Riot, singing a different tune so far. But then also, TSM is fined $75,000. Din must complete sensitivity training and executive training. And Din is on probation for the next 2 years across the Riot ecosystem. Now, a lot of people are memeing on the $75,000 because obviously TSM can write a check for $75,000 and it doesn't really matter. And, you know, I agree and I disagree. Yes, the amount of money is small, but there are limits to what Riot can fine people. There is only so much power and stuff that, you know, the LCS can do. Just because TSM has more money or because Regi has more money or whatever doesn't mean they can up the punishments. They got to keep it level for everyone. If they start handing out $1 million fines or whatever, hundreds of $1,000s fines to people, yeah, someone like Regi, TSM, whatever, they might be able to handle it. But when they go to hand that to, you know, somebody like Immortals or whatever, you know, or is everyone going to be able to handle that equally? No. And the money's going to charity. It'll end up being a good cause. What is way more important in this whole thing is the other things. Sensitivity training, executive training. You know, I don't know. It's better than nothing. I don't know exactly how much that's going to do or not do or whatever, but hey, maybe he'll learn something there if he goes and just blows it off and, you know, goes through the motions. Maybe it won't mean anything. Who knows? But hey, at least he's having to do some stuff. The bigger stuff here for sure. Probation for 2 years. That is a big deal. If you think the $75,000 is a slap on the wrist, if you think the sensitivity training and executive training is bullshit and not going to do anything, that's fine. I can get behind that. I know what you mean. But those are warning shots. That is warning fire. And the 2 years probation is definitely a big deal. They're saying, hey, Regi, you know, you've been bullying people. You've been making disparaging comments, remarks, whatever. So this time, we're going to give you the slap on the wrist. We're going to give you the small fine. We're going to give you some training. We're going to give you some opportunities. But if you mess up again, sometime in the next 2 years, that's when things are going to come down harder. Now, for some people, that's going to be unacceptable. Some people are saying, hey, we should come down harder on them right now or whatever. But you got to remember, TSM, Regi, they're very, very popular in this ecosystem. They've done a lot of great things for esports and LOL esports and the LCS. And they are still partners, you know, in the whole franchising system and everything like that. So I think that's interesting. But the other big thing is this last bullet point here. An independent monitor is being appointed to operate a tip line and follow through with regular check-ins with TSM League of Legends players. So not only is Regi going to be on probation, but the League of Legends players and team and staff and everyone, it seems like, are going to be regularly checked in with, and there is going to be a tip line, anonymous tip line, independent monitored tip line, whatever, there as well. So Regi's going to have to be better. He's going to have to do better. And at the end of the day, that is, I think, maybe not all we can ask for, but I think that's a lot of what we can ask for. Again, you can say they should have been punished more harshly. You can say they should have done more, whatever. But still, I think there are some good things being put in place here. So I don't think we should downplay it just because the amount of money isn't millions of dollars and maybe he's going to have to go to some bullshit training or something like that. Who knows? I don't know what the sensitivity training or executive training is like. Maybe it's great. Maybe it's amazing. Maybe it's life-changing. I would find that hard to believe, but maybe. Here we get into the context. November 2021, a TSM player made a series of public allegations against Andy Din. The majority owner of TSM, these allegations include accusations of bullying and berating players and staff on TSM, stating that Din's verbal assaults had caused players and staff public humiliation, mental breakdowns, and more. In response to these, additional individuals who are or were associated with TSM came forward with similar allegations during the NALCS Players Association, or through the NALCS Players Association. As a result of these allegations, the LCS retained outside counsel to conduct an independent investigation and report their findings. This competitive ruling reflects those findings. And that is hilarious because in TSM's own investigation, they came out and said like, hey, we talked to former TSM players, staff members, all these people, and we were good to go. Nothing happened. And now the LCS is saying, hey, we talked to some former people associated with TSM. We talked to some former players, or they came to us, and we did hear similar allegations. So it's just so funny. The complete opposite ends of the spectrum that TSM, in their third-party investigation, whatever, and the LCS have come to, obviously, pretty different conclusion in their investigation. Now, there's also the argument that TSM in their internal investigation was looking for different things. There's more about, hey, did we legally break any laws or anything like that, which was really stupid and pointless. And the LCS is obviously more into actually checking into the claims made by people. Obviously, it's funny that up here, this is obviously talking about double lift. So at the end of the day, this is looking like a double lift W. In addition, on May 27th of 2022, TSM announced it had completed an independent investigation of Din, led by TSM's independent director without involvement from Din. The final report from that investigation found that there was no unlawful conduct. The report recommended the corrective actions, including mandatory executive coaching for Din and voluntary executive coaching for other executives, leadership training, and this anonymous reporting hotline. So obviously, Riot has decided to go along with some of these recommendations that were given out by their report. Here was the scope of the investigation. The team participation agreement, which is a contract between the team and the LCS, or all teams in the LCS, in conjunction with the official rules, set forth the permitted scope of any investigation conducted by the LCS. In this instance, the scope was how serious and pervasive were the actions underlying the reports of Din's treatment of and behavior towards TSM players and staff. Did Regi make disparaging, harassing comments related to the race, national origin, sexual orientation, or any other protected class, or take action or comments that would create an inference that Din discriminated against anyone connected with TSM? And were there credible reports of other actions by Din, including physical violence, that would give rise to a violation of the TPA or rules? While we saw other allegations raised publicly during the course of the investigation, including the characterization of contractors and employees and all this stuff, those questions are ultimately outside the scope of their investigation. So yeah, ultimately they're striving to walk the fine line between protecting their sport, enforcing their rules on one hand, and adjudicating disputes or replacing courts, arbitrators, or in some cases the police on the other hand. So, it's like Riot can only do so much in situations like this. We had the investigative process, which was investigators conducted interviews of 14 individuals, including Regi. This included all of the complaints provided by the Players Association, as well as any other parties identified during the course of those interviews. In addition, the investigators contacted a number of former TSM players and employees who either did not respond or declined to cooperate with the investigation. The investigators also reviewed certain emails and other electronic communications, as well as public statements and videos. Our investigators were aware of the investigation being carried out by TSM at the time and spoke with this individual on several occasions. In addition, a small number of interviews with current TSM employees were conducted jointly for the sake of efficiency, although those individuals were provided with an additional opportunity to speak without TSM investigator present to ensure they could speak in an open and candid way. Again, that's very, very important. You're not talking to someone who's directly then reporting to, Regi or TSM or whatever. We did not provide TSM with visibility on our investigation, did not provide a list of individuals we were speaking to outside of current TSM employees, and did not share our notes or final conclusions with TSM, and did not collaborate with TSM on their investigative report or announcement, or on this competitive ruling. Outside of the usual advance notice of the ruling we customarily give when issuing rulings, the existence of and report from TSM investigation did not influence the findings of ours. So, that is big. I think overall, Riot doing a lot of good stuff. Their findings. Based on the conclusion we drew from the reporting of our independent investigators, we believe that there was a pattern of practice in disparaging and bullying behavior exhibited by Regi. This included verbally abusing pro players and TSM staff members and communicating in a demeaning and belittling manner. Nearly all of the witnesses agreed that Din's outbursts and abuse were generally limited to a player or staff member's perceived performance. None of the witnesses recall any situation in which Din's abusive behavior focused on a protected class, definitely important to note, and there were no reports of actual or threatened physical abuse towards any TSM player or staff member. Also, very important to note, pursuant to our scope of investigation, the above findings lead us to determine the severity of Din's behavior and the appropriate remedy in this situation. There is also relevant background here. Again, the comments that Regi made about Vulcan popping up once again, when he was telling Vulcan that, hey, if, without the LCS or without what we've done, you'd be working at McDonald's or whatever. Regi had previously already been fined $5,000 for the LCS for, the tweet directed at Vulcan. So, yeah, he also had followed up with an apology saying, I'll be more thoughtful moving forward and learn from this. We've considered this prior incident in the context of the ruling. So, again, this was kind of his first misstep, mishap, whatever. And now, they're coming at him again with obviously $5,000 to $75,000 in fines. Relevant rules, they have rules against profanity and hate speech. A team member may not use language that is obscene, foul, vulgar, insulting, threatening, abusive, libelous, slanderous, defamatory, or otherwise, or promote or incite hatred or discriminatory conduct. And also harassment is forbidden. And then they come down with their ruling. They do everything like that. And yeah, they give kind of their punishments and stuff. The $75,000 is 3 times the maximum fine for conduct unbecoming of an LCS team member to reflect the lengthy multi-year pattern we believe existed. So again, this has been going on for years. This has been a pattern. This fine will be donated by the LCS to an appropriate charity focused on anti-bullying and or mental health, which is really, really cool. They are required to provide within 60 days that DIN has completed sensitivity training and executive training. Training must be provided by a third party that is unaffiliated with TSM. So a lot of very, very interesting stuff going on here. And then, yeah, the probation, the tip line, all that stuff that they mentioned up above. Very, very interesting. And also obviously there's not a whole lot funny about this, but the one funny thing that I can't say from all this is the fact that, again, TSM did their own investigation. They tried putting out the same day that the Peter Zhang stuff came out. They tried putting it out at the same time in the same day, sweeping it under the rug. Regi was the one that tweeted it out, not like TSM or anything like that. But they tried putting out that Regi did absolutely nothing wrong. Hilarious that, people like Dunk retweet that and they're trying to share that with the world when they know what really happened. And they also knew that the LCS was doing their own investigation and stuff at the time. It's just kind of hilarious. Maybe it shows you, I don't know, some true colors and stuff going on here. But again, I do hope that things can change from this whole situation. Yes, some of this stuff is small. Some of these punishments aren't that big of a deal. But maybe this is a wake-up call. Maybe this is, a sign that something that's going to change. I think at the very least, things will change over the next couple of years while he's on probation, while there is a tip line and all this kind of checking in with TSM and stuff. Who knows if Regi's going to change? Who knows if Regi wants to change? Who knows if TSM's going to change or if they want to change or not? But I do think that a lot of these allegations and a lot of stuff that Riot is claiming that, Regi did or said or has done to people is really, really gross and is really, really disgusting. And is just another thing that has made it harder and harder for people like me to root for TSM or to want to spend any money on them or support their content or anything like that. But, I think everyone can come back from mistakes and things like that. If Regi is willing to change and wants to change, I think he can, and I think, it's going to take time. He's going to have to show patterns of changing and being a better person and making better decisions overall before we just, take his word for it. But I don't think this means Regi's automatically the worst person in the world or that he can't redeem himself or nothing like that. But again, I think there's a lot of yes men at TSM. I think there's a lot of people who have been afraid to stand up to Regi or to tell him when he's been wrong or, even if they've done that, maybe they've just been fired or whatever. But yeah, it is kind of gross to me when you have TSM putting out that stuff, Dunk retweeting it on his personal account. A lot of gross stuff going on overall, but I hope he can be better. Regi, I hope you do better going forward in the future. Dunk, I hope you do better going forward in the future. I hope there is accountability over at TSM. And kudos to Riot for actually standing up to TSM and to Regi. Again, a very powerful organization, very powerful people. They mean a lot to the LCS, but also kind of funny that obviously Regi has had what seems like decreased interest in the LCS over the past couple of years. Now they're finding him. Now he's getting in trouble. Is this going to decrease Regi's interest with the LCS even further? Is he going to fire him up? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But either way, competitive ruling. Andy Din, a big one coming out. Breaking news. That's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. What do you think about the fines, punishments, whatever put out by Riot? I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Consider checking out the Discord. First link in the description below. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then. Peace.